In the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, amidst the towering peaks and winding trails, the shadows of trees stretched long into the horizon as night began to fall. It was 1985, a year that would be forever marked in history not for its pop culture or political shifts, but for a truly bizarre and chilling tale, the tale of a cocaine bear. No one could have predicted that a strange set of events would give rise to this dark and surreal story, a story that would leave a lasting imprint on those who encountered it and ultimately make headlines across the globe. What began as a simple tragic accident would soon spiral into something stranger and far more sinister. Hey there and welcome to Typical Stories, the channel where the ordinary becomes extraordinary and every tale, whether it's mind-blowing, hilarious, or downright unbelievable, finds its place in the spotlight. From the weirdest facts to the most unexpected twists in everyday life, we've got something for everyone. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into today's story. The story begins as many strange stories do with a man named Andrew Thornton. A former narcotics officer turned drug smuggler, Thornton was no stranger to dangerous missions, risky drops, or the sort of high-stakes games that could make or break a person's life. However, in September of 1985, things went wrong. Thornton, flying a small Cessna 404, was piloting a cargo of drugs to a location deep within the United States. But something went wrong. Something snapped. A parachute failed to deploy, or perhaps the wind was just too strong. With a load of cocaine weighing heavily in the back of the plane and a plan gone awry, Thornton found himself plunging toward the ground, doomed to die in a fiery crash. His body was discovered days later, a tragic end for a man who had lived on the edge for too long. However, the drugs, it seemed, had a fate of their own. They didn't just vanish into the ether. One package, a 40-pound bag of pure cocaine, slipped out of the plane and parachuted into the dense wilderness of the Georgia mountains, where the inevitable meeting between man and nature would take place. The cocaine was, by all measures, a thing of immense value. It was a luxury, potent, expensive, and prized by the criminal underworld. But the bear, unbeknownst to him, had no concept of value or wealth. He was a creature driven by instinct, a creature in search of food, warmth, and survival in the vast expanse of the wild. A black bear, not an unusual sight in the Appalachian region, stumbled upon the discarded package one crisp morning. His nose twitched at the strange, pungent scent that hung in the air. The bear, driven by hunger and perhaps a bit of curiosity, approached the bag. What followed was something beyond the realm of what nature intended. The bag tore open and the cocaine, a white powdery substance, spilled out like snowflakes caught in the wind. The bear sniffed and licked the powder. He had no idea what it was or what it would do to him. He didn't know that the substance would quickly enter his bloodstream, turning his body into a vessel for madness. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The bear wandered off, perhaps more curious than before, but his next steps would soon lead him down a path of unimaginable horror. The effects of cocaine on a bear's body are not the same as on a human's. The rapid stimulation of the bear's nervous system sent the creature into a chaotic frenzy. His heart raced, his muscles tensed uncontrollably, and his senses became distorted. It was as if the bear had become something else, something not quite of this world. The bear wandered deeper into the forest, lost in a state of wild delirium. His thoughts were no longer his own. The once peaceful creature, content with foraging berries and catching fish, was now a hyperactive, rampaging force of nature. The forest became a blur to him, and every shadow seemed like a threat. His instincts were still sharp, but his sense of balance and reason were long gone. The bear began attacking anything that moved. Deer, other smaller mammals, even birds, all became prey. The bear's insatiable hunger for destruction grew with every moment, and his strength seemed to increase. No longer the docile, solitary creature of the woods, the bear had become a terrifying beast, fueled by drugs, primal instinct, and a twisted rage. As he continued his rampage, the small town at the edge of the forest would soon come to realize that something was horribly wrong. As the bear wandered further into populated areas, the small town of Blairsville, Georgia, began to notice a series of strange events. Local farmers and hunters reported unusual behavior. Cattle were found mutilated, their bodies torn apart, the wounds unmistakable. Something was attacking the animals with a ferocity that had never been seen before in the area. No tracks were left behind and no predators could be identified. The locals were confused, but the mystery was about to unfold in terrifying detail. On one fateful day, a group of hunters ventured into the woods, hoping to track down what had been terrorizing the local wildlife. They didn't expect to encounter anything like what they found. The first hunter to spot the bear was frozen in shock. What he saw wasn't just a bear, it was a monster. The bear's eyes were wide and glazed over, its fur matted and unkempt. It was frantically searching for more food, its movements erratic and wild. But the most disturbing part was its sheer size and strength. The bear had grown unnaturally large. His massive frame, combined with the powerful stimulant coursing through his veins, made him a formidable and terrifying force. The bear charged the hunters and they fled in a panic, never seeing anything like it in their lives. Word spread quickly through Blairsville. There was something in the woods, and it wasn't just any animal, it was a cocaine-fueled killing machine. Local law enforcement was quickly alerted to the bear's presence, and an intense search was launched. At first, they didn't know what they were dealing with. The authorities, more accustomed to handling poaching or occasional wildlife disturbances, found themselves at a loss. This was different. The bear had become more dangerous than any predator they had ever encountered. Traps were set, and officers scoured the forests for any sign of the creature. It was an unusually difficult task, as the bear's erratic behavior had made him unpredictable. He wasn't following the usual patterns of hunting or migration. Instead, he was driven purely by the effects of the drug, constantly searching, constantly moving, never at rest. In one particularly tense moment, a group of officers came face to face with the bear in a clearing. The bear, wild-eyed and frothing at the mouth, charged with terrifying speed. The officers fired shots in an attempt to stop it, but the bear seemed impervious to pain, too lost in his frenzy to be affected. The bear continued its rampage, seemingly unstoppable. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it disappeared into the wilderness once more, leaving only a trail of destruction in its wake. A few weeks after the rampage, the body of the bear was discovered, not far from the crash site of Andrew Thornton's plane. The bear had died, not from gunshot wounds, but from the sheer overdose of cocaine it had ingested. It was a sad and tragic end to a creature that had been turned into a monster by forces beyond its control. When the authorities investigated the site, the connection was made. The bear's death was the result of an unintended, deadly chain of events, the tragic climax to a series of human miscalculations. In the years that followed, the cocaine bear became a part of American pop culture. Books were written, documentaries were made, and the story lived on, an unsettling reminder of the randomness and unpredictability of life. Well, there you have it, another typical story in the books. What did you think? Surprised? Entertained? Or just left thinking, well, that was typical? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share with someone who needs a good story. And hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to keep up with all the crazy, unexpected tales we've got coming your way. Until next time, keep it typical.